So there's an article from GameSpot that we're going to just read over and just talk about that. Maybe Microsoft and Xbox and Phil Spencer should probably take some notes from about talking about first party titles from Sony, which I thought was pretty interesting. So let's get into this article and let's discuss some key points that I've noticed in this article. PlayStation boss reveals why Sony doesn't release most PlayStation 5 games on PC day and date. For Sony tentpole games, you'll need to buy a PS5 or wait for it to be released on the PC. Okay? Okay. I mean, I get it. Let's keep reading. Repeating what he originally said in 2022, PlayStation boss Herman Hustle said during Sony's latest business update briefing that Sony will not launch most of its first-party tentpole titles to PC at the same time as they come to the PlayStation 5. Why? Because it drives sales, Microsoft. I know, so Microsoft and Xbox are like, oh, exclusives don't drive the sales of consoles, when in fact, it actually does. Case in point, PlayStation. The exceptions here is for live service titles, which makes sense because, like Helldivers 2, you have to catch that lightning in a bottle. You got to be able to get as many eyes as you can on it and as many bodies as you can on it so that people will play said game before the hype dies down. Which is something Hurstel also made clear years ago. Microsoft, on the other hand, launches many of its first-party games on the Xbox and the PC at the same time, also as day one releases on Game Pass, which is a driving force for Game Pass. I will give Microsoft that if the new Call of Duty is going to be a day one Game Pass type of thing from here on out, that is going to be a driving pass for Game Pass. Now, granted, it could be like some people I know when it comes to cable. They'll get cable TV to watch live sports, right? For, perfect example from, August until February or March. And then they'll cancel the cable from there and only keep it basically for 6 months out of the year. But it's still money in Microsoft's pockets. We have a dual approach here. On the live service side, we are releasing our titles simultaneously. So day and date on PlayStation 5 and PC. But our tentpole titles are single-player narrative-driven games such as Last of Us, Spider-Man, that kind of stuff, that are the backbone of what PlayStation Studio has delivered on in recent years. And in our history, we take most strategic approach, said the new co-CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment said. Which, I mean, it completely makes sense because if you have these great games, they're going to drive sales of the consoles. Especially, I think The Last of Us probably drove a lot of people to go buy a PlayStation. Back in 2022, said the company would not bring its marquee first-party PS5 games to PC for at least a year. Which, I mean, it makes sense. You got to let it run its course, let it, sell basically, and then bring it to the PC. After they originally debut, the exception is live service exclusives like Helldivers 2, which launched on Steam and PlayStation 5 on the same day. Earlier this year, the Steam release went over positively at launch before Sony announced that Steam players would need to create a PSN account to keep playing. This was poorly received by fans and Sony backtracked. Which, I mean, makes complete sense. But the thing of it is, They kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one. They really did. Now, granted, it did say in the terms of service, like, hey, you're going to need to make a PlayStation account, but it's fucked up that they're going to do it in 3 months after the game comes out. Also during the business briefing, it said that this approach, PlayStation is hoping that PC players might try one of Sony's single-player games that has already come to PC and then consider buying a PlayStation 5 to play the sequel. I mean, that could be a very good business model, especially if, the game comes out and then you have to wait 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, when you can just buy a PlayStation and just wait 3 to 4 years. If that makes any amount of sense. So it'll cut down a little bit of time. Sony has released a number of its single-player games on PC and already, including Days Gone, which really needed a lot of help because the the numbers for that one dwindled really fast. Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, and Spider-Man, amongst others. Um, and I mean, they did release Spider-Man. I think they did Miles Morales as well, and I'm not surprised if not by the end of the year they release Spider-Man 2. He also added that that the same effort is true for Sony's TV and film adaptations. If people watch and enjoy them, say The Last of Us on HBO, they might be encouraged to buy a PS5 and play the next title in the series. I mean, it's really good advertisement. As it happens, Naughty Dog has provided a strong indication that will make Last of Us Part 3, which I played the first one. I haven't played the second one, but I didn't even think about that where, people watch this TV series and then they're like, "Hold up, wait a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to play the next title." As for why Sony doesn't reveal its new games into PlayStation Plus catalog, the company has said that the virtuous cycle of investment that leads to commercial payoffs would be significantly derailed if Sony were to take that approach. For its part, Microsoft is only pushing further into bringing the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 to Game Pass this year. Like I said, I already touched on that. That basically I think a lot of the driving force when it comes to getting Game Pass is going to be the Call of Duty. That's all it is. And guess what? You're not going to need an Xbox to play Call of Duty. You're just going to need a PC. Which I think, in my genuine opinion, that's where Microsoft's kind of shooting themselves in the foot by not making it, a time release on, okay, we're dropping it on the Xbox and you're going to have 2 months. Even if it's released in let's say 30 days, like a month, and, play it on the Xbox, people are going to go out and buy the Xbox. In other PlayStation news, the next State of Play broadcast is today, May 30th, promising updates on the PS5 and PSVR 2 games. Okay. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting because, like I said, Sony, we're going full screen real quick. Sony takes the exact opposite approach than Microsoft does. Microsoft, the Xbox it's in the hurt locker, bro. And they're going to be like, "Oh, we have exclusives," when in fact you don't have console exclusives. You have exclusives for the PC and the console because, mind you, Microsoft does own Windows, right? Do I feel like it really hurts Microsoft by not doing what Sony does? Abso-fucking-lutely. They shoot themselves in the foot every time they release a game. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't hurt them too bad if they release it directly to Game Pass. They're leaving money on the table, of course. But the problem is they're not taking into account the ability to push sales on the Xbox by keeping it on the Xbox like they used to with the Xbox, the 360, and the Xbox One. Anyways, guys, let me know down in the comment section what do you think about this. Because I think Sony's onto something. Which, I mean, it makes sense. Anyways, you guys, don't forget to mash that like button, comment, and subscribe. Every little bit helps, and I can't do this without you guys. We're on our way to 8,000. 8,000 subscribers. That's insane. Like I said, 10,000. I'll do a 24-hour stream, and we'll go from there. But anyways, you guys, y'all take it easy. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day. I'll catch you later.